the topic tonight is what's a signature system and why you need one. And like I said before, I find that most people, most health experts don't understand the whole picture. And I'm going to be talking about this on my upcoming webinar, which you can go and register for at thewellnessbusinessacademy.com/webinar2, number 2. And I'll put the links in the chat below when I'm done, so to make it easy for you. But I'm going to take my shoes off and get comfy because we're going to chat tonight. So here's the deal. We're not taught this stuff, so I'm going to break it down. And I know I'm going to break it down because this is, in my opinion, in my experience, what's holding a lot of people back. And I know that a lot of people who are trying to take their health businesses online get really tripped up because they don't know the exact steps, and they don't know what to post, and they don't know what to blog about, and they don't know, you know, okay, they blog, and then where do they send people to get them into their world, to subscribe them, to do all of that stuff. And so from a high level perspective, what a signature system is, and I'm not talking about a signature program because that's a system, which I will get into in a minute, but what a signature system is being able to create this flow. Okay, this flow based on the value and the guidance that you want to be able to provide your clients. So let's start at the beginning, okay? And again, I'm going to be breaking this down in so much more detail in my upcoming webinar, but we're going to start at the beginning. So a signature system is all of the pieces of the puzzle. Thanks for the hearts and the thumbs up. All of the signature system is all the pieces of the puzzle, right? It's starting from the top, and you're going from basically your own goals and visions and all of that stuff. And then basically, if you continue to ask yourself what happens next, you put together a system that everybody goes through. Everybody goes through. So it starts at the top, and it starts with your vision and your reason why. And then I would ask you, okay, so you now know what your vision is and you know what your mission is. That's amazing. But then what do we do? How do we actually turn your personal experience and your professional education into a system that you can focus on certain aspects at any given time and basically feel confident that people are rolling through this entire, let's call it a funnel, right? This entire funnel, this entire journey, so that you understand at every phase what's happening in your business. So we start at the top and we identify who it is that you exactly want to work with. And that's called your ideal client avatar, right? And some people coming out of their certifications or their schools, they don't know who they want to work with yet. And that's totally fine. You can still apply this signature system into your business, and it's going to give you clarity because you're going to know what to focus on at each step in this sort of client attraction journey. So you have strangers that come to you, right? You put your energy and effort into putting out content based on their big problems, right? So you might post about digestion, you might post about detoxification, you might post about inflammation, right? But posting isn't enough. You need to understand the action that you want the reader to take, right? So you basically find where your ideal clients are, right? Could be through speaking gigs, it could be through corporate wellness, it doesn't matter. Once you get in front of your people from Facebook, from Instagram, from speaking, from webinars, from podcast interviews, from summit interviews, then what happens, right? You're in front of people, but then what happens? And most of the time, nobody knows, right? Nobody has an answer to what happens next. And this is the system. So you need to think about, well, where do I want to send these people and what value am I going to give them for going there? So let's say you have a free lead magnet, and a lead magnet is a piece of content that you've created to solve a problem, right? So the whole idea of this system is that you need to take the strangers, leads, let's call them, but they're strangers, they're people, and you need to bring them into your world, right? How do you do that? So you create the content that is valuable to them. It answers the questions that they have. You probably get asked questions all the time. Every time that you get asked a question, write it down, because that could become a piece of content that you create. And then from all of the questions becomes content, and the content needs to send the people somewhere. You could either send them back to your website, or what I would prefer you to do is send them to a subscription page so that they can get this valuable piece of content called your lead magnet. And once they subscribe to your lead magnet, then what happens? Right? Then we need to nurture them. Then we need to introduce yourself. You need to expose yourself, your personality, your story, your mission through email, because it's really the only way that you own to communicate with these people, right? And then you say, okay, well, I've shared my story and I've told them about my mission. Then what happens? How do I get them to engage in my Facebook group? How do I get them to buy my stuff? How do I actually help them, right? So at each step along the system, you're always thinking about how can I give them value, right? And these are buzzwords that I'm using, but I think about it in terms of feelings. Every step along the way, how do I want my ideal clients to feel, right? Do I want them to feel inspired? Do I want them to feel safe? Do I want them to feel like they belong? Do I want them to feel empowered? Do I want to give them a win? Do I want to give them a strategy that they can implement so that they get some type of relief? So after somebody subscribes to your lead magnet, you need to think about the feelings that you want to initiate through your communications, right? How do you want them to feel when they interact with you? And so you craft these emails. Usually the nurture sequence is 3 emails, and you craft this sequence so that they're going along for the ride. This is an introductory sequence. These people are complete strangers to you, right? And then the next phase of the system hits, and you're like, okay, I've introduced myself, I've done all these things. Now what? Now what happens? Right? You have 2 choices. You can either put them into another email sequence that introduces an even bigger problem that your lead magnet doesn't solve, right? The problem that's left over after the lead magnet, and you can introduce them to that problem that puts them into a journey of basically introducing them into your group program online. Or you can write some emails that offer or invite them into a transformation conversion consultation, which is basically an assessment, a sales call, a discovery call, to invite them into transformation via a one-on-one package, right? And this works really, really well when you know who your ideal client is, or if you want to put them to retreats or whatever it is. But the goal of having a system is before you create the content, before you start crafting your program or your discovery sessions or whatever it is, I want you to stop and think. I want you to stop and literally map out the journey that you want this complete stranger to go on, to go down, in order for them to feel relief, to feel motivated, to understand how they got to this place in the first place, right? How they got sick, to communicate to them that you understand how they're feeling, building rapport, right? And then you can introduce your offering, because at that point, you're no longer a stranger. And this system it's a system so we can put your own business into the system, but the content that you create, the messages that you communicate, they're unique to you, right? So I can teach you every single step of the way in terms of what to send and when to send and where to send them based on what the outcome is. But I find that most people don't take the time to really stop and think about what's the journey that you actually want these people to go on? How do you want them to feel, right? We're so busy with like, I have to do webinars and I have to post on social media and I have to do this and I have to do that. It's not necessarily about you. It's about the process that these complete strangers need to go through in order to get to know you, in order to understand the help that you can offer them, right? And then once they understand who you are and they understand how their pains link to their current health situation via education that you're going to provide in the form of blog posts and videos and social media content, then you can introduce to them the solution, right? So it all starts with you deciding how you want your business to flow. It starts with you deciding what you want the outcome to be for this particular person, right? And this particular person, there's thousands of them just like them, which is why I recommend that you focus on dealing with one specific like niche or ideal client. But everything that you create, your social media content, your videos, your emails, all of these things are geared around getting these strangers to know you, getting them to understand where they're at in their own journey, linking their physical and emotional pain points to their health circumstances, and then you can present the solution, right? And the solution is your own program. It's your protocol. It's the way that you're going to essentially heal them, right? But there are very specific steps along this funnel, along this system that most people leave out solely because they just don't know what to create, right? So that this way, when you're crafting your system, you're thinking about, okay, so they're here. They've just subscribed. Now what? What do I want to communicate to them? How do I want them to feel when they read this? Do I want to educate them? Do I want to inspire them? Do I want to motivate them? After you do those things, then what happens, right? Then you're going to start planting the seeds that you can help them. And you do that again with very specific content, touching on different points in their own journey, right? Which is why you have to know their starting point. If you don't understand where they're coming from and you don't understand how their current health is ruining their life essentially, and what that feels like for them, they're not going to buy into you, right? And so you need to communicate that you get it. And so it's done in this very systematic way so that when you post on social media and you say, you talk about something and you're like, here's a blog post that might help, that blog post is hitting a very specific emotional trigger, good or bad, right? Positive or negative. It's hitting a trigger. And then from that blog post, you then invite them into another piece of content. And then you invite them into another piece of content. And you're rolling them down this system with the end point of introducing your program to them. It's unlikely that someone's going to subscribe to your lead magnet, get 2 emails, and then want to enroll in your program. It's unlikely that that's going to happen. So with this system, I want you to think about all the steps that need to happen. And it's not something that you're going to get in 5 minutes. I spent the entire day today literally iterating my getting to know me sequence. So I'll just give you the example. So I started from the very beginning. I thought about where is my ideal client at first point of contact? Do they even know that they have a problem? So when I introduce my brand to them, what's the first thing that I need to have them feel in order for them to feel value so that they want to continue to read and subscribe and engage and then buy, right? So I thought, okay, the first thing that I need to do is introduce myself and share my own story in a way that highlights for them their own issues, right? And so that would be my first step in my system. So that when I write blog posts and I write social media content, I'm gonna then send them, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a sec. I'm gonna then send them to this welcome post. I'm assuming that everybody who reads my stuff is new to me and doesn't know who I am. So my first step, even before I go to the lead magnet, is to introduce myself. And if you think about it this way, you're unlikely to become friends with a complete stranger. You're gonna have a little chit chat, right? You're gonna like get to know each other before you like spend the whole day together. So I thought about it, I was like, okay, the first step in my system is I need to introduce myself. I need to welcome them into my world, and I need to introduce myself and share who I am in a way that they read my story and go, oh my God, she went through the same things as me. And then from that point on, then my next step in the system is to say, I have this piece of content, I have this whatever that I think might be able to help you. Check it out. And then I'm sending them to a place where they can subscribe. Because if I go straight from a social media post or a blog post to, hey, subscribe, I totally skipped the getting to know you part. I totally skipped that introduction. And that was a critical piece that I was missing. I didn't assume that everyone who hits my page doesn't know me, right? I missed the introduction. It's like I made a new friend and I didn't even share my name, right? Which is kind of awkward when you think about it. And so then I thought about, okay, when they subscribe, that means that they made a commitment to me. What value am I giving them with my lead magnet, right? With a lead magnet, you always want to make sure that you're giving a win, right? That you're giving something that they can take action on immediately. So then they're like, wow, like that really helped. And then I'm like, okay, cool. If that helped, what's the next piece of the puzzle, right? And then I need to, again, share my story with them again, get them to know me a little bit more through email. I want them to feel like they belong. I want them to feel like they can do it. I want them to feel like I understand their situation, right? How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna create blogs or videos that talk about those kinds of things. And then, based on their commitment, if they comment on the blog, if they subscribe to my lead magnet, if they engage in my Facebook groups, I'm then gonna introduce more content that brings up their pain points and teaches, right? So the value attached to those, let's say 5 teaching emails, are that they're getting results, they're understanding, they're buying into me, they can see that I know what I'm talking about, and then I can introduce another solution, which would be a program, right? But at each stage of my system, I've thought about how they're feeling in that moment. What do I need to communicate to them to make them feel how I want them to feel? And then what's my next step after that? And I spent the entire day today working out literally to the nitty-gritty what that system is, and then what are the methods that I need to implement in order to make that actually happen. And what that means for me is I need to go back to my website and fix up my homepage, right? I need to, instead of having like a homepage with just blogs, which is like, I didn't even introduce myself, I need to go and welcome them into my world, right? And then I'm going to put them through this very specific system where if they're staying in the system and they're not like unsubscribing or, you know, not opening my emails, they're going to go through this journey. And so understanding this whole picture and thinking about the way that you want these people to feel will help you to create content, because the content is targeted at getting them to feel these specific things along the journey. Am I going to promote, you know, this welcome message in everything that I do? No. But I'm going to very strategically schedule posts, you know, several times a week to continuously introduce myself, because new people are finding me all the time. New people are finding you all the time. And so I went back to the beginning and said, okay, my system's a bit broken. I forgot to introduce myself, right? I forgot to structure their experience. That was weird. Sorry, it just paused. So that we start at the very beginning with a, hi, I'm Lori. Nice to meet you. This is who I am and this is what I'm about. And if you're interested to learn more, click here, right? And so then they come into my world in a very systematic and structured way, right? And I think that's the missing piece for most health experts, is that we don't take the time to think about the journey for these ideal prospects, right? And we're not guiding them down this journey. We're just spewing content at them in a very unpredictable way. It's not your fault. And I was reminded of this again today, which is perfect timing because I'm going to be giving a webinar on this, that in order for us to have more free time, in order for us to focus on our unique ability and get done what we want to get done, in order for us to gain financially, in order for us to have the impact that we want to have, it takes planning. And it takes systematization, and it takes thinking about the value that you need to constantly be giving to these people in order for them to buy into you, right? It takes effort on our part. And the good news about this is that once you sit down and actually map this out, and you will fix it up over time. It's a never-ending thing as you get feedback. But what this means is, you don't have to constantly be creating content, right? Yes, you have to constantly be sending emails, but you have a very systematic way that once people get into your world, you do the work once and it's done. So that you're not constantly coming up with these emails. All of the work then, all of your time and energy and attention then switches to putting out the content, like writing the stuff and teaching, so that you can bring people into your world. So that's the system, right? That's a unique system, and it's based on your vision and your why and the outcome that you want for these people. Where do you want them to end up, and how do you want them to feel once they actually get to that place? What do they need to understand about you? What do they need to understand about themselves in order to continue down this journey with you and not leave and go find somebody else? So I hope that makes sense. It takes time to create this system, but I would love for you to take some time over the next couple of days and really think about this journey for your clients, starting from where your client is or prospect is right now. Not where you want them to be and not where they want to go, but where are they? How do they feel? What's going on in their life at first point of contact? Because that's what it's all about, right? So I hope that this helps. If you guys have questions, feel free to post them in the chat below and I'll definitely answer them. Or if you want to flush your system out, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes and I'll definitely answer them. Jason asked me, what are you using to track your subscriptions to this lead content? So any email marketing platform has a dedicated list that you can then track subscriptions. So you know basically every day how many subscribers you're acquiring. If you're going to take it one step further and use Facebook ads, right, to bring strangers into your world, then you can track basically from the beginning. So what you would do is you would basically track how many people clicked on that ad and went to your subscription page, and then how many people hit your subscription page and actually subscribed. And then from there, how many people that have subscribed have enrolled into your program. And if you track those metrics all the way through, then you basically have amazing conversion numbers, and you're able to then say, okay, I can spend this amount of money on my Facebook ads each month, because as you gain experience in this, you're tracking this over time, and you know how many people, you basically know your return on investment. You know how many people subscribe and how many people buy, right? And so that's a really good way, to do it. So having a system takes away a lot of the confusion. It takes away a lot of the flying by the seat of your pants, because you've taken the time to really think through the content that you need in order to move the person down the line, to get them the end result, which is feeling better, and to get you the end result, which is a new client, right? But it takes time to really think about it. So if you guys have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope it gave you a high level understanding of the system, basically, and how it all works, and the kind of content that you should be creating, instead of just randomly like, oh my God, it's Friday and I haven't sent out an email all week, which is fine. But once you take the time to do the work and you program that stuff into your email marketing platform, like I said, then your attention switches to just creating content to bring them into your world. You're not working on two things at once, which is creating content to bring them into your world and then nurturing them, because that part's done. And it alleviates a lot of stress. And then you can just go back and look at it and fix it up, right? And see where the holes are. There's always going to be holes. It's just the nature of the beast. It's never going to be perfect, because businesses are always changing and evolving. New technologies happen. You change and grow, so your ideal client shifts, and you need to then create new content. Can you give an example of a reintroduction post? Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So what I'm going to do in my own business is I'm going to create some posts that introduce me, right? That share my story. One of the things that I see is that health experts aren't sharing their stories enough, right? I'll give you an example. So my business coach, my former business coach, Bedros, I know his story like off by heart. I can literally get up and pretend that I'm him and repeat his story. For those of you who've been around for a long time following me, you probably know my story, right? But new people don't know my story, or maybe they missed it. So I'm going to create probably 5 different posts. Some might be videos and some might be just regular text, where I'm welcoming people into my world, and I'm sending them to a dedicated blog that basically is a welcome piece. It's introducing me, who I am, my life, my story, my why, written in a way that they can then pick out pieces of that story and feel the relationship to themselves. They can pick out pieces of my story and go, I've experienced that, or I'm experiencing that right now. She knows, like, I can relate to her. What else does she have for me? And so those five, let's say, social media posts will then send the readers, these strangers, back to a very dedicated blog post on my website, which then has a call to action to take them to somewhere else, either my Facebook group or a lead magnet. So I hope that helps. And what I'll do is I'll write that introductory post first, and then I'll just pull segments of that welcome post and turn those segments into social media, like snippets. because I think that we need to continuously, you're welcome, that we need to continuously introduce ourselves over and over and over again, because new people are always finding you. And a lot of the times our social media pages don't necessarily reflect our story, who we are, what we do, and who we help. I do a lot of social media page audits in the Wellness Business Academy for people who have the challenge of not gaining this momentum. And I look at their pages and I give them the feedback, and I'm like, who are you? You are nowhere represented on your social media page. And I am at fault for that too, because we post memes and I link to other people's blog posts. But me as Lori, like saying, hi, I'm Lori. Hi, Stacy, I'm Lori. Nice to meet you. Obviously, I wouldn't use a name, but it's like, hi, I'm Lori. Nice to meet you. Welcome to my page. Here's how I can help you. That was missing for me. So if that, take a page out of my book and make sure that you're constantly introducing yourself and welcoming people into your world. So I hope that helps. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to post them below. Just a reminder, I'm doing a webinar on this next week. You can go to thewellnessbusinessacademy.com/webinar2, number 2. And I'm going to be taking you through this funnel. I'm going to show you the mistakes, and then I'm going to show you what I like to call the health expert business model, and how to take your health business online in under 90 days, because there's a system and there's no need for you to be like flinging spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. If your story on your Facebook page, should you pin it or just keep posting it once in a while? I think you can probably pin it. I think that would be really nice, actually. That's a good idea, thanks. Yeah, I think you should pin it. And I think that it could probably be a video where you're genuinely just welcoming people and you're sharing who you are and what you do and how you can help them. And then in that pinned post, you can link to, here's how to get started. And then on the getting started page, you can go more into your story and you can give value. Again, you're crafting that story or that content with the intention of having them feel something. Right? For me, I wanted my ideal clients, you guys, to feel like you belonged, because I know, because I've experienced it, that you feel alone in the world. You feel totally like an oddball. And I want you, when you hit me for the first time, I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want you to feel like you've found your home, like you belong. Right? That you can have a sigh of relief, that everything that you need to know will be taught to you in good time, but that first and foremost, you belong, and that you're not an oddball for wanting to basically build a business from scratch on the internet, because most people don't understand that. So that's my intention with this system that I'm going to build out. So I want you to think about what the intention is for your system at every stage that this stranger basically is going to go through. So that's that. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you guys enjoyed spending time with me. I'd love to get some feedback on this and just hear if this is making sense to you, if this is providing clarity for you, because obviously that's my intention, is to be able to provide you with clarity so that you know where to focus your time, energy, and attention, so that you gain the momentum and you gain the traction in your business, so that you can feel better about what it is that you're doing. So thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, I hope this was helpful, and I'll post that link to the webinar, and we will talk again real soon.